Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 229 of Mike in the Midwest, our mini podcast for the amazing patrons, just like you, of the Be Our Guest podcast. Of course, my name is Mike Rallman, host of the Be Our Guest podcast, which you can find wherever you download shows. But you know that because you're a patron of the show. We're recording this one live here in the BOGP Studios on Sunday, December 23rd, 22nd. Holy cow, I'm shaving off a day. Can't do that. I probably panicked you. December 22nd, 2024. Yes, we are leading up to Christmas. It is getting close. Hanukkah as well, celebrating both holidays the same day this year. I saw on the calendar, so that's pretty cool. So whatever you're celebrating, I hope you're getting excited for the celebration with your friends and family, because that is what these celebrations should be all about. We'll be talking about that here in just a bit as part of the main topic at the main section of the show. But hey, how you doing? We're at the top of the show. We're at the meet and greet part of things. It is Sunday morning, and hope you're doing well. Glad to be back in the BOGP Studios. Getting excited because tonight, if you're listening to this one before as this one drops right away, we're going to be having the live call-in show on Sunday evening tonight. And this one will be special because it's right before Christmas. And we'll be having our show where we'll be talking Disney, all the news of, what's happening. We could talk about, call in with any questions you have about the Disney Treasure, because I got to sell that. Of course, right now it is out on its maiden voyage. But if you have any questions about the Haunted Mansion Bar, the Periscope Pub, the Skipper Society, the staterooms, the adult areas, the Hero Zone, the restaurants. I'll tell you what, the Coco restaurant is awesome. Whatever you want to talk about, you have a question about that, let's talk. You want to talk about the parks? I went to 3 of the 4 parks. I had a one-day hopper. We did Magic Kingdom, Studios, Epcot, stayed at Animal Kingdom Lodge, so we could talk about that stuff. Whatever, let's just talk Disney. But also on top of that, I want to make it kind of a holiday special. Let's just talk about what you do. What did you do growing up? What was your favorite gift you got as a kid? What was a favorite memory? Do you remember going to Mama Papa's house? Did you go out in the country to cut down a Christmas tree? Did you always have an artificial tree? What was your go-to dinner? Did you guys open presents before dinner? Did you have to suffer through dinner? Like, everybody had to eat dinner, then clear the table, do the dishes, and then the kids got to open the gifts. That's how it was at our grandma's house, and it was torture. So let's talk about those things tonight on the live call-in show. Let's just kind of get together as a family, kind of have a virtual Christmas get-together before we turn everybody loose and everybody has their celebrations over the next few days. So that's kind of the goal for tonight's call-in show. Just kind of a BOGP Christmas party via the call-in show tonight. So hope you can join us for that at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. You don't have to join us on all 5 places. 1 is sufficient. But hope you're having a great week. And as always, I appreciate you being a patron here in 2024. I know $5 a month, you might not think it's a lot, but collectively, it keeps us on the air. I will tell you, since you are kind of here as a super supporter of our show, our hosting, we use a place called StreamYard that allows us to put the shows out. They doubled not just us, but everybody who uses their services. They doubled the price of their services in 2024. Again, we pay this out of our Patreon funds. So thank you for keeping us on the air, because it is quite expensive when you do 5 shows a week. You use quite a bit of resources, but I think it's worth it. This is my favorite thing to do. I don't want to cut back. I don't want to go to 1 show a week or, I enjoy this. I like getting all the trip reports out there. I love talking to new guests every Monday. I think it's cool. I like answering listener questions on Wednesdays. I think that is something that is valuable. I really enjoy those shows. Fridays, I do love having a show a week dedicated to a topic where we can discuss something that is topical, or just have something fun, over, under, or where's the best bathrooms. I know they're not the most important show in the world, but I think that there's something worth, if you're going on a run, or if you're walking the dog, or if you're doing the dishes, it's something that makes you think. Hopefully, if you're on a car ride, the whole family can listen and kind of chime in like, oh my gosh, how did they not talk about the bathroom that stinks over in the Adventureland breezeway? I want it to be something that sparks the imagination at some point. So I don't know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, what show we cut out if we had to. And then Sunday nights, I like to do the live call-in show because personally, one of the things, if I was not a teacher, which I was, I got to live out that dream. I always wanted to be a teacher, and I got to do that for 17 years. Um, I wanted to be a major league ball player. Not didn't get to live that dream, but very few do. Yeah, I kind of gave up on that one early. I'd like to see where that would have gone because I think I might. I by no means think I could have made it to the majors, but I gave up a little bit. I had a college scholarship I walked away from, so I'd like as a left-handed pitcher that was 6'3". I think I could have gone a little further than I let myself go. Also, my dad was friends with some major league, was a catcher for a major league pitcher. I'd have had some connections, but that's nor here nor there. No regrets. I have a great life. I would not change anything. But one other thing I would have liked to have done was work in radio like my dad. But my dad kind of, here's the thing about it, just, side tangent. That's exactly what this whole podcast is about. Your parents never, I don't know if this is true of all parents, but this is true of Rallmans, of my family at least. Just here's a total side tangent, is that my dad was not letting me follow his footsteps when it came to jobs. So when I grew up, my dad was a cement mason. And so, which meant my dad, he went to work and his dad did the exact same job, right? My grandpa, my dad's dad, they were both cement masons, which meant that they went out every day and they worked in concrete. So they poured front porches, they put in driveways. They did commercial work, so they'd work on big buildings. I know that in St. Louis, they put in all the floors for like the AT&T building, which is one of the tallest buildings downtown St. Louis. They did a lot of the concrete work for Six Flags St. Louis back when it was built, like in the 70s. They've done, they put in the floors of basements and subdivisions. I mean, that's what they did. They did concrete work all over St. Louis, driveways, patios, anywhere there was concrete work to do. That was their job. And they worked for the union. And so they had a good union job. They'd go out every day, but I mean, it was hard work, right? It was manual labor. So they would be out in the cold, and when it was cold outside, they'd be out in the extreme heat in, St. Louis in June, July, August. It would be, 100 degrees, but they'd still have to do their job, right? And it would be from sun up to, it wasn't like a 9 to 5. They'd be out there before 9, and they'd be out there till the job had to be done. And it's back-breaking work. You're on your hands and knees, you're troweling, it's called, the concrete, and you're shoveling it, and concrete's super heavy. And my grandpa and my dad both had just, it broke down their bodies after a while because they did this for tens of, my grandpa was in the union for 50. He got his 50-year card. He did it for 50 years. My dad got out before that. Now, my grandpa loved it. My grandpa was I've said this 100 times on the show. My grandpa was my hero. That's a picture hanging back here in the studio when he's one of the twins. He's like 2 years old in there. He's a baby in that picture. That picture's from 1923 over my shoulder when he was back in Kentucky with his twin sister. But my grandpa was kind of crazy. Like, he was crazy. That's why I love my grandpa. He was just a crazy guy. Like, I think I got a little bit of crazy from my grandpa, but he loved that kind of stuff. He loved physical work but he was a different breed. He was born in 1921, right? My dad, he didn't like it that it broke down his body. I think I'd have kind of been the same way. So my dad eventually pursued a different career, and he went to Broadcast Center and got a degree in broadcasting and went into radio after about 25 years of doing that hard work. But to make this long story semi shorter, my dad always told me, you are never, ever going to work a job like I have. He kept telling me that. He said, you are not going to ever pick up a trowel to work in concrete. He said, you're going to be better than that, because my dad didn't go to college. He followed his dad's footsteps right into doing what his dad did, because you went into the union and he got a job immediately doing concrete like my grandpa. And, you made decent money and cause you're in the union and, you got a job and you're doing manual labor, and that's what my dad did. And it was a decent job, but like, he didn't work in the winter time because once it got cold and froze, you can't pour concrete once the ground froze. So you didn't work in the winter until the thaw. So we were always like in the wintertime, we didn't have a lot, but we were okay in the summer. But it was fine. Everybody I lived with was the same way. Like we didn't have a lot of money when I was growing up, but nobody else around us did either. So you didn't notice. It was just like it was life. It was, you didn't even care. But it's one of those things like looking back, like it's the same way around here. Like if Mallory asked me to become a teacher, I would tell her not to be a teacher. I would, because teaching is going in the wrong direction right now. I'd try to tell her to go into something else, because teaching's a noble profession, but it is exhausting. There's so much that pure teaching is an amazing and it's a noble career. Teaching is still a noble career, period. It's very noble, but it eats you alive. It eats at your soul. And so I think I've become my dad, that I want better for my daughter than to become a teacher. And it kills me to say that, because I wish the best people in the world should be in classrooms, but I don't want my daughter to be just to be eaten up by the career. And my dad told me I couldn't be, he's like, you are never going to be a cement mason, because he wanted me to go to college. He wanted me to get a job where I could work in air conditioning and use my brain. He's like, you're smart, Mike. You're going to go to college and you're going to be able to do better than I am. And you're going to be able to, work in an office or something. You're going to be a teacher. You're going to be a doctor. You're going to be a lawyer. You're going to do something. And I hope that I made him proud of being a teacher. I know that, my grandma, my dad's mom, and my grandpa, when we would have grandparents day, when I used to teach, when I was a sixth grade teacher, because I taught in the same city that my grandparents lived in. That's not where I lived. That everybody, my whole family lived in this. I taught in Florissant, grew up in Florissant. My parents lived there, my grandparents, everybody. So we'd have grandparents day, right, for the kids. Right, as grandparents day for the kids. Guess whose grandparents always came to grandparents day? Mine. Grandma and grandpa. My grandparents were always there too as a teacher, and it always made me proud. And of course, my grandparents were a lot older than my kids' grandparents, but my principal got the biggest kick out of that Mr. Rallman's grandma and grandpa, until they passed away, always came in the front door to see Mr. Rallman teaching. They got the biggest kick out of that their grandson was a teacher. And I know my dad got a kick out, still gets kick out of that I became a teacher. And I think he thinks it's cool that I have a podcast, because I kind of followed in his footsteps, because I'm super, and it goes cyclical too, because he's a self-made man. I mean, my dad is somebody who, and I did a podcast about this, like he was in construction because he had to raise a family, right? I was born when he was 20 and my mom was 20. So I was born, but I mean, that was the thing in 73, right? Everybody was having kids when they were young. That was just how it was. And so they did a great job raising me. We had everything we needed. I had a great house. I didn't need for anything. We had everything. And I had a bike. That's all you needed back then, was a house, a bike, and place to live. And he went, did his job. It was super hard. But then, when I got into high school, he decided like his body was breaking down, his back was terrible, and he decided he wanted to do something else with life. He didn't want to do this forever. And so he heard a class, I think it was on the radio, called Broadcast Center. It was like a vocational school to become work in radio. He did that at night for a year or so, and took a minimum wage job at a radio station on Saturday and Sunday mornings in Washington, Missouri, which is about an hour from here. Drove out there and back for years doing morning shifts, and I forget, KSLQ, I think it was called, out in Washington, Missouri. Did that, loved it. Got to start on the radio there. Eventually got a job in promotions in St. Louis at the Oldie station. Worked all the way up to program director there, and on air in the mornings and weekends on 103.3, and then eventually worked for the Rams because they had the Rams there, and he's still working for the Rams. He's their radio guy, or the radio engineer. And so he'll be out there Sunday doing, I think they're playing the Jets. So that's where I don't know, like Christmas. Will I see him on Christmas? Yeah, probably this year, because I think they'll be back because he has a game on Sunday. So yeah, he'll probably be back on Sunday or Wednesday. So I'll get to have him over for Christmas this year. But some years it depends where the Rams are. So anyway, I don't even know where I was going with that story, but I just want to thank you because I get to do something that I'm super passionate about. When I was 5 years old, this all gets back to kind of the Christmas season. When I was 5 years old, I remember 5 or 6, I got a Fisher Price record player. And you might have gotten the same thing. There was also my sister at one point got a Fisher Price tape player. I remember it was like brown and had like 4 buttons at the top. I never got the tape player. I guess 'cause I was older, I probably got like a Grand Prix, like real tape player. But she got a Fisher Price tape player. Before that, because I'm 4 years older than my sister, but I did get the Fisher Price record player. I think it was like orange, had like an orange arm on it. It was kind of brownish. And I remember playing those records and pretending I was a little radio DJ. I thought that was the coolest thing. And I wanted to be on the radio. And I just wanted to make sure that I always thanked you, because every time I get to start a podcast and get to talk about something that I love talking about Disney. I love talking about Disney because Disney is something that is pure to me. There's so much that I know that we could talk negative about Disney. I mean, it's expensive, it's crowded. Sometimes they make changes that we don't like. I don't like they're taking out Rivers of America. It's beautiful. It's peaceful. It's a slow attraction. I don't like that. But in the big picture, it's pure. Like, I saw a post, I think yesterday on Twitter. I'm on Twitter and stuff, Blue Sky and Facebook. I get on all of them. I don't get into the politics of it. I'm a tech guy. I just like checking them all. Mastodon, I tried to do, but it's too confusing for me. But everything, Instagram, whatever, give me it all. Cause I'm a kid of like the 70s and 80s. I try to check them all out because I'm just a geek. I just want to use my phone my tech to the most it can be. So I was on one of the social media platforms and I saw a post something like when I go to Disney, it's the essence of hitting pause on the real world for a week and just starting to and just being able to make believe or something like that. It was more eloquent than I could say, but that's truly what it is Walt Disney World or Disneyland, or when you go on a cruise, is it perfect? It's absolutely not perfect. You stand for a perfect spot for 45 minutes for fireworks and then somebody gets right in front of you with a balloon, or you go to get an egg roll and it's $6 and you're like, yeah, it's only worth $4, that kind of stuff. But when you're there, hopefully you're not too worried about what's going on back home. You're not too worried about the news. You're not worried about that stuff. You can give the real world a pause. You can hit pause on the real world for a little bit and be able to really focus on the people that are around you and really enjoy life. Like, look, there's a castle to your right. Look, you're walking through, basically kind of a pseudo jungle when you're going through Adventureland. You're hearing primal beats. And, how many times in life at 8:30 at night can you walk through life eating a Dole Whip and making jokes with your kids, whether they're 5 years old or whether they're 25? That's the thing. Another thing I wanted to bring up today, and this is just a rambling show because I've been wanting to because we didn't get to do one last week. I was traveling. I apologize for not doing a show because it was the plane was delayed and all that stuff. But today's kind of like my Christmas, and we'll definitely celebrate Christmas on Tuesday and Wednesday. But today's a big day for me. I'm super excited. One, Mizzou basketball plays Illinois. It's always a big day because it's what we call the bragging rights game. Now, Mizzou played Kansas two Sundays ago, and we beat them. They were the number 1 team in the country. They're our biggest rival in any sport, and we beat them. And that was epic. I was wearing this exact same outfit. Not that I'm superstitious, but I put it right back on today. But every year, we don't play Kansas every year, but every year we play this game against Illinois. And it's right at Christmas break, and it's called the bragging rights game. And we always play it in St. Louis because it's kind of right in the middle of our campuses. St. Louis is kind of right between Champaign, Illinois, and Columbia, Missouri. And it's called the bragging rights game. There's a big trophy. Whoever wins gets it. So today's that game. So I'm kind of excited for that. That happens at noon. Usually it's a night game. It's usually on a Saturday night, or it's usually just on a night, but I don't know why it's a noon game, but who cares? But the bigger reason I'm excited is because Paige is coming home tonight. And that's the thing about this holiday season is that as you get a little bit older, and I hate to say getting older because I still feel honest to God, I still feel like I'm in my 20s mentally. I still don't feel like I'm getting older, but I know that circumstances and life is what it is that nothing at this point in my life gets me more excited than having my entire family under one roof. And I know that's going to happen tonight. Now, it could have happened earlier, but UIC, Paige's basketball team, has a game today at 12 too. So they have to play their last game. They're playing against University of Ohio. So they'll play their game, and then she's going to head home after that because the team all gets to scatter to the wind for their Christmas break. They get to all go home, and so does she. So she'll be home this evening, and Riley, her dog, which my dog, right? But we won't say when Paige is home, we say that Riley is Paige's dog so that she does not get mad. But once Paige leaves to go back to Chicago, then Riley becomes my dog again. But Riley will be super excited to see her mama, as we all will be. So she'll be here through Thursday. So for 4 days, I will have a super joy in my heart. I'll be super excited because this will be one happy dad. So I'm super excited for tonight. Right after the live calling show, Paige will get home and all will be good in our house. And I hope that is the same thing happening for you wherever you are. Hopefully, maybe you're getting to go see maybe your mom, your dad, maybe your kids are coming in for the holidays here in the next day or two. Or maybe you can just reach out via FaceTime or over the phone or whatever it is. Because, and it used to be right when she was in college, she would come home for a month, and that was the best. Of course, like it was better when she didn't, when she lived here, that was better. And then when she was in college, the break would be for a month. Now it's 4 days because she's a working girl and she's got a basketball team to run. But you take what you can get, right? And you become grateful because, these days are fleeting. I could say, oh, I'm really mad because it's only 4 days. But I'm going to make the most of those 4 days. We're going to make Christmas cookies when she gets here. We haven't made Christmas cookies yet. By the way, I got to send a shout out to Trisha because the Christmas cookies she sent in the tin arrived a few days ago. Those things are getting plowed through faster than the snow in St. Louis after a blizzard. They're sitting on the kitchen table, and I keep hearing the tin come open like crazy. Mallory, myself, Pam, and probably Paige when she gets home. You guys know how to make some Christmas cookies. Those are so good. So thank you for sending those down from Wisconsin. They're so dang good. But Trisha was very kind to send those this way. Appreciate that. And Paul, I got to send a shout out to my good friend Paul, who sent a very kind Mizzou art piece for the BOGP Studios. I'm going to hang that here shortly. I'm waiting for Pam to help me hang it because I started to and it wasn't level. So I got to find a spot. I'm going to try to put it somewhere. I'm trying to find a spot where you can see it on the camera, but I don't have any spots left if you can see in the background. So I think I'm going to have to put it where it's off camera because I don't have any more spots. But it is awesome. And I think I might put a little bitty black X because it's where our season tickets have been for the last 4 years, and then another X on the hill where we sat for about 12 years before that, because that would be really, really personal. But that was sweet of Paul. So thank you, Paul. And also I got to send a shout out to Mel in Australia. She sent me the greatest hat. It's a black. I'm going to wear it on the show here coming up shortly. Some Tim Tams, which are the greatest. I don't know if you call them biscuits or cookies, but I call them cookies, which Mallory has jumped into and is eating some of my Tim Tams. They're the greatest cookies of all, and little candies that are like little kangaroos or koalas. Oh, little caramels. She is so sweet. And she sent one to Scott too. A hat. Scott didn't get Tim Tams. Well, if he did, I ate them. But our listeners are so kind. This season is so great. So it's such a joy. We have the best listeners. You guys are so nice. I just wanted to send that out here on the show. Anyway, I wanted to this show's already getting super long, and you guys are gonna get 5 shows this week. Scott and I are crazy like that. Because Tuesday you're getting a bonus show because you get the BOGP Christmas Eve special to take with you. So let me get to just what I was thinking about for the main topic. Oh, we got to hit the feedback from last week's show too. There's only one. Trisha had the only feedback from last week's show. She said, my school didn't do anything fun like a school radio or TV show. I do remember my first grade teacher, Mrs. Mitten, loved Mickey. He was everywhere in her classroom. She even put black paper ears on the wall clock. We also did a mock presidential election where we voted for president, and then the results were shared at the end of the day. If kids could vote, American history would have been a little bit different. You think? Probably. I know people say don't wish for your kids to grow up too fast, but I'm so thankful we've outgrown the school secret Santa shop. I have so much junk my kiddo gave me, and I've kept it all. More out of the mom obligation than sentimental reasons. Maybe guys are more sentimental. Interesting thought, because I keep everything and I'm super sentimental. And you wouldn't think guys would be more sentimental, but I'm super. Well, obviously, you've heard me talk about stuff. I love retro stuff and I am super sentimental. Trisha says, have a great time checking out the treasure. Can't wait to hear all about it. The treasure is awesome. And I'm just saying, the treasure was made for us. And us, I mean us that listen to the show. It's a theme park lovers ship. Thank you, Trisha. Okay, so here's what I wanted to say, just kind of as the main topic for today's show leading into Christmas. I've been thinking a lot about, and by the way, here's the bad thing. Right before I start recording today, I was walking my miles on the treadmill because on Sunday I walk and it takes forever. And I was watching the news. The local news was on and it finished up at 10. And then I was like, okay, I got to watch something for about 10 minutes because I had like 10 minutes of a walk left. And I'm looking through the channels. There's nothing on because football is going to start for another 2 hours. So I'm like, what's on? So I'm going through all the channels. Polar Express is starting. So I'm like, okay, I can watch Polar Express for 10 minutes. So I watched the first 10 minutes of Polar Express. Dude, that leads right into what I wanted to talk about today. I love Christmas and I have so many great Christmas memories. But again, it gets to what Trisha just said. I'm super sentimental. I had a great childhood. I had a wonderful childhood, but my childhood is all about my family. It's all about my grandma, my grandpa. That's why I have, again, you can hardly see these pictures in the back corner here, but one of the pictures is of my Rallman family. It's my grandpa and all the Rallmans when my grandpa was a baby in that picture with his twin sister and his whole family. He had like, I don't even know how many brothers and sisters, but his mom and his dad are there, and his grandpa and his great grandpa are in that picture back in Kentucky. So some of those people in that picture were born in the 1800s, but that's the Rallmans. And then the other picture that's hanging on the wall there is my grandma and grandpa's wedding picture from I think it's 40. The day they got married down in Kentucky, they moved to St. Louis that day. They got on a bus, they came to St. Louis so my grandpa could get a job. So that's the day they came to St. Louis. But I was thinking about the Christmas season and I was thinking about Santa, right? And I saw again, it's all about what you see online, right? You see memes and you see pictures and stuff. And I saw a meme the other day and it said, if you grew up in the 70s and 80s, this is your Santa. And what it was the claymation Santa from, I think it was Santa Claus is Coming to Town or Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It was that classic Santa that if you know, you know. It was that, the one that says, it was from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, where it's like, ready, Santa, Rudolph says, and then, at the end, he's on the sleigh and he goes, that's Santa. So, such a classic Santa. It was him. And so, I think that's what our generation, my generation, looks to the sky for on Christmas Eve. And I think some of us still do. But when I think back to Santa, even today, but as a kid, you go through different parts of your life, right? But I titled this show Santa is Love Personified. And I think that's so true, right? Because when I think back to my childhood, we we didn't you don't see this as a kid, right? I never saw this because you're not going to because of your developmental age. When I was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I didn't see any of this because you don't see this because of where you are in life. But man, when we woke up in the morning, my sister and I, in our 70s living room that was real small, but we had wallpaper that I am not kidding. I am not joking. I'm pretty sure the wallpaper on our in our living room had like bicentennial print. I'm pretty sure it had like eagles, like bicentennial eagles in our living room. How awesome is that? I wish I could go back. I got to verify that with my dad, but as a memory, I'm pretty sure our living room had bicentennial eagles, like is our wallpaper in our living room. And it was orange, kind of yellowish orange, but that has nothing. And our tree was glorious. It had tinsel, it had multicolor lights, nothing matched. Star at the top, little Santa Fe tree train under it. But when we came in on Christmas morning, we had gifts. We had so many cool little gifts and just little toys and knickknacks and stuff. But like at the appropriate year, like I remember one year I had a bike, a Huffy. It wasn't a mongoose. It wasn't a diamondback. Some of the kids had diamondbacks and mongooses and all that stuff. I had a Huffy, but I had a bike with mag wheels. And one year I remember I got an Atari 2600. And I mean, I didn't get 100 games. I got like 2 games with it, but I mean, I got an Atari 2600 and I got a Commodore 64 one year. Now, and my sister, I can't remember what she got because I didn't care because it was all about me when I was like 7 or 8. I want to play with my stuff. I remember one year I got Frogger for the Atari. I remember that cartridge. It was like a Parker Brothers cartridge. It was like so. I really wanted Frogger. I don't know why I wanted Frogger so bad, but I did. But the thing was, looking back, Santa was love personified. Santa delivered. And Santa had to work hard up at the North Pole to make those things happen because Santa had to do that for everybody in the neighborhood, right? Santa had to sacrifice to make those things happen. And Santa was love personified because, there's sacrifices that have to be made throughout the year to make sure that moment happens on December 25th on that morning. And you don't think about it when you're a kid. You don't even think about it, I think, even when you're a teen looking back, but you do when you become a parent, I think. And I was thinking about that the other day that, wow, we had way more than Santa left us way more than I think than we definitely deserved. And that I don't even know how that happened. like, like when I'm on the other side of it now, I don't know how that happened. Like, how is it possible? And then I think about it, the logistics of it. I think about grandma and grandpa. And I think that they probably were Santa's little helpers many times. And I think I've told this story before that we always celebrated Christmas Eve at my grandma and grandpa's house, my dad's parents. And my cousins would come up from Poplar Bluff, Missouri, down by Arkansas, and I loved them because I didn't have any brothers. So, like my 2 cousins, Chris and Derek, they're as close to brothers as I had. And we'd eat dinner. We always had to eat dinner around noon on Christmas Eve, and then we'd have the Christmas music on. My grandpa would always have the fireplace roaring. We'd have the Christmas music playing, and then as soon as dinner was over, we'd open presents around 3 o'clock in the afternoon from my grandma and grandpa. We'd exchange with our aunt and uncle, Randy and Pam, and Chris and Derek, and we'd get all this cool stuff because my grandma and grandpa would spoil us. But the cool thing was, and I think I've told this, was that my grandma and grandpa always gave this gift to my mom and my dad and to my aunt and uncle, Randy and Pam. And I thought it was so weird as a kid. I thought it was so weird. They would get this big box every year full of just what I thought was junk. It was a box of detergent, a box of like Bounce, a box of like Hamburger Helper, a box of like anything you needed from the store that was expensive, like the big items. I don't know, Clorox, whatever it was. Like it was a box of probably $150 worth of expensive, like durable grocery kind of things, like stuff for the laundry, stuff like that that you wouldn't want to have to buy, but you were going to have to use to raise a family. And then there would be an envelope in there that would usually have $100 cash in it. And it was always the stuff like that my mom used and the stuff that Pam used because they were a little bit different. My Aunt Pam, like, whatever their favorite laundry soap was or whatever their favorite dish soap was, my grandma knew. So it was always a little bit different. They had their own boxes and they would get these boxes. And as a kid, like my cousin Chris and I, 'cause we're about the same age, we'd be like, what a dumb present. Boring. They got soap. They got, they got, I don't know, like noodles. They got money. But you know what? Looking back, my dad didn't work in the wintertime. And, there were hard my uncle, he worked in real estate. In the 80s, real estate was rough. That was love personified. That was my grandparents thinking, how can I help these young families get by in the wintertime? That was love. Because grandma didn't just give, I mean, they gave some cash and they were retired folks, but grandma went to the grocery store and thought about what do they use, and like went and bought all those items with love and got all those things. I thought that's pretty cool. Anyway, I'm going way too long because you're going to get a ton of shows this week, but I just wanted to hopefully bring a little, maybe a smile to your face here as we do this show right before Christmas, and maybe you listen to it here over Christmas week, or maybe you're celebrating Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. I just hope you find some joy in your heart and reflect back to the Christmases, the celebrations you've had in the past, because I just hope this season finds you joyful, even if you're not with everybody that you love. Because we every season we're not always going to be with those we love, but I hope that you do find that you can reflect back on, maybe that Christmas when you were 7, maybe that Christmas when you were with 9, when you were 9. You know, I would give anything to go back to that Christmas Eve one more time with grandma and grandpa at 1020 Harrison in Florissant, Missouri. Unfortunately, that can't happen. They're not with us anymore. Those were the best days, but they're still in my heart. I mean, they'll always be in my heart. And it's because they love me and they did that so well that I'll always have those memories. And I hope you will too. But remember, we're making those memories this week with our kids, so I hope that Mallory and Paige have those memories forever too, and that we make new ones every time. So I'm going to get out of here. And I want to, one more time, I want to thank you sincerely that you allow me to keep doing this show. I truly love doing the Be Our Guest podcast. I've been blessed to get to do this for almost 17 years. And without your support, we could not do this because it's getting too expensive. And I honestly couldn't do it without you guys. So thank you for your continued support here. Thank you for allowing us to do this. And I hope you always find some value in the shows. I know you don't find value in Mike in the Midwest. This is just something to say thank you. I just try to find some way to give you a little something extra. This is just me rambling every Sunday. But I hope you find value in the big shows. I hope you enjoy the trip reports on Mondays. Hope you maybe get a question answered on a Wednesday. And Fridays, we cut up with you. And on a Sunday night, maybe you can give us a call. Or maybe you find kind of like a radio show a little bit different from the other podcasts. I don't know. I hope that you do find that you get $5 a month worth of value, a cup of coffee worth out of your support of our show. I just want to work hard to return the investment because I love doing this and I appreciate you so much. All right. Well, get out there, love on your loved ones, and don't forget, Santa's love personified, but Santa loves milk and cookies, and may he be good to you. So until we talk again, you guys stay safe, stay healthy, and Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Margie. Have a good one. I'll see you later.